afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane. This is the first match featuring the new patch here on Simwaski Winter, now with all deep snow basically removed. And, of course, no of the other bits there, sort of highlighting these maps. Here we got Jove, who's immediately chosen here, the newly buffed Partisan dogs. This since Partisan troops and Partisan tank hunters have been made notably more reliable and useful. So fighting here with Engineers, Consuls versus Luvnest, fighting in the south here for the Wehrmacht for the Reich, here with Ostruben Doctrine already chosen. Fighting for Germany, Deutschland and the 210th Infantry Division going up versus Jove's 307th Rifle Division. Yeah, with Partisans supporting it, we've got double Ostrom, double Pioneers here, so Luvnest having to grab a lot of territory, but of course at the same time giving him some options, holding back to him, and they're using the none-too-mighty Ostruppen. Consuls moving out there. Bulletins large infantry with a single MD-42 bulletin there for Luvnest. Quick sandbags going up here for Jove. Stacking them up rapidly, Ostrom rushing ahead there. Hurry up, Sergei, we need to look for some communists. And there we go, spotting here, so quick rush ahead, occupying a good building. Now the conscripts, of course, are more vulnerable while setting up, so there go a few easy hits there for the Ostrom, and there we go. Poor Vasily dropped like a sack of potatoes. Who's moving up, there we go, an enemy falling up here then for Luvnest, noting by the way, no infantry company, so he would be very vulnerable here to an M3A rush from Jove, but no sign of that. Luvnest basically sacrificing any sort of protection versus light vehicles in the early game there for just more troops without having to then build the infantry company there. He could of course then follow up with taking out and going further on. Of course might then go afterwards back for it and sort of get something. There you go, rushing for the building. Cuts making first, also caught up in the open. Not good, they're not good. Further fighting here, and Ostrom getting sort of pulled back across the ground here. Further losses inflicted there. Also they're dropped on the road. Pioneers heading up west, going for the fuel there. Fuel here secured on the south by the Wehrmacht, by some Pioneers. We've got a third Ostrom squad out there for Luvnest. Ostrom there forced away, simply too many counters in the heavy cover. The Ostrom can't overcome that. Well, it actually pops back. He was actually, I think in this case, based on a bit of mind games. He's hoping he's going to rush out of cover. Then he jumps out, catches him out, and then do some damage. Problem is here, Jove's not taking the bait part because he can actually watch over there what's happening, you know. You're not fooling us, you fascist counter-revolutionaries. Oh shit, they were watching. There you go, more some moving up to support the first one, MD-42, additional Ostrom squads. So we've got 3 squads plus an MD-42 plus 2 Pioneers. In that sense, he's actually got a decent force there. Versus Joe, who's up to 4 countries here. Grabbing points there. No tech up, we do have field infirmary up there for Joe, and there you go, Pioneers went to here with the conscripts, catching them out here. Could try and rush closer there, but it does not look to be the case here for the Pioneers. Doing what they can there against the Russians. M40 holding up there, Ostrom occupying the church. Other squad I imagine has rushed back fully there. You could of course consider setting up a forward command bunker here. Ostrom can generally benefit quite a bit from that since they do reinforce rather fast. That means you can actually keep Ostrom very well supplied there at the front line. But nope, we got a bunk or tech up there for Luvnest, no bunkers. So 3 Ostrom, 2 Pioneers, M40, 2 tech up there for Luvnest. For Joe, it's 4 conscripts, 1 engineer, also they're firing away at the engineers. Bit of shooting there. He can also call up officers now if he wants to, though he probably won't. And there we go, we got the first Partisan unit here arriving, popping up behind the Ostrom side of the church.
Enemy forces are capturing our supplies.
Quickly popping out there with the PPH-41, which they now pretty much get all the time. They're going engaging the MD-42 and the Ostrom, and very quickly doing some damage. They're not also taking some losses to the Ostrom, who take up a bit of position behind the reefs, and there you go. Ultimately cleared out, didn't do too much damage there. One thing to note though about the current Partisans, they have apparently been buffed a bit too much. Currently I believe the stats are closer somewhere in the range of, well, commandos before they were nerfed. So yeah, that might be something a bit off there. There should probably be a hot fix or something coming into and sort of put that a bit on the cooler. Then of course, I mean in this case it didn't quite work out there. He was already suffering losses as they got closer, and there you go. Poor Bobbert didn't quite make it fully there through with his friends. And he was also moving about there, securing buildings. We got the Light Mechanism company up here for Luvnest. Joe could of course run more Partisans if he wants against Luvnest and the Third Reich. point there, avoiding the mines mostly.
Sector is at risk.
There, aggressive play. But a few points there being denied to Luvnest. Got back there by Jove. Using also the building to occupy the pine, of course, that way deny them to the Partisans, so you quite easily rush up behind some of his units. Of course, at this point, Luvnest should be a lot more worried about the buildings, and of course, Partisans can appear out of them. But there you go. He's getting a half-track support. Looks like someone managed to scrounge up a half-track, since a regular infantry division would not have access to half-tracks unless somehow they actually managed to scrounge one up and, you know, not reported on. Otherwise, they pretty much would have been told to hand it over to an actual panzer division or the likes. Same thing happened, folks, I imagine, with a lot of tanks they actually managed to recover from the Russians, but, you know, they probably didn't report it because they then lose it. There you go, second part. There you go, attacking the Ostrom there on the retreat. Clearing out the bastards there with their PG-841s. There you go, we also got the anti-tank Partisans now. Half-track coming back, supporting the troops. Good work there. Also works quite nicely with Ostrom. Anti-tank Partisans quickly mowing down the Ostrom. There you go, we also got flamethrowers up. There you go, the Partisans are on the run. He loses the ability to reinforce the front line, but he also gains an effective source there of fire, death, and destruction. So, of course, now the flamethrower half-track, while he has lost the ability to reinforce, which is a bit of a shame and rather renders a lot of its veterancy a bit useless, at the same time, though, it does have more range, which also means it can sort of hold back a bit further and do more damage. There you go, we got anti-tank Partisans opening up. Building is on fire. A nice case of German pyromania here. Lighting the surrounding farmlands on fire. The Ostrom, they continue to fight onwards. Now, of course, it could still consider a command bunker. Officer would also still be a good choice. Going for the fuel point there. Jove so far still managed to maintain a decent grip down Luvnest, but Luvnest still pushing on aggressively using pioneers. Ostrom pushing against Jove, forcing also have to back cap, get back territory elsewhere. He's lost, forcing away from the front line as well. So nice working there. And we actually got spy network here. Quickly get an idea of where Luvnest forces are, actually allowing him to flank. In this case, we actually use to sort of surprise the flamethrower half-track with some anti-tank Partisans. So that's actually pretty clever, except he doesn't have the manpower for it. Panzer Grenadiers on the way here for Luvnest. Looks like a nearby Panzer Division or Panzer Grenadier Division is providing some infantry, perhaps the same as where the half-track perhaps came from. Although Pioneers pushed away there. So 2 anti-infantry Partisans and 1 anti-tank Partisan group so far. Trying to repair the half-track here, but at this point, and again, note the way he's basically circling around using the parts of it to, you know, cloak up, so try and get close to it. And I think Luvnest is a bit aware that something's on the hunt here for this Flammpanzerwagen. But probably he should try and turn the front end towards where the infantry is going to come from. Oh dear, this is going to get ugly. Infantry sitting up there. Partisans getting suppressed, getting burned horribly. Anti-tank Partisans moving up there with the stolen counter-attack. Almost got the half-track, and then, oh, misses! Misses. MD-42 they're suppressing. But at the same time, though, the people once they're doing a good job there as half, because one thing to remember, the half-track is by an actual war being, you know, armoured well enough to, you know, hold up against bullets. This one isn't. So in that case, the PPG-841 parts there cleared it out rather rapidly, leaving the flame for a half-track quite the wreck. Pioneers moving out there. Bunker up. We got the Panzer as well, the help here versus the Partisans, but also the conscripts. In that case, we actually hear that Jove has managed to build up quite a sizable infantry force. He is also yet tracked to take up. He's also getting Molotovs finally. Strong position here. One thing to note here for Luvnest is to lay some barbed wire to make it harder to neatly rush with infantry, with grenades or whatever. That could be beneficial there to Luvnest as well, but just a quick suggestion. Mines for the case, you know, the Partisans also run around laying mines, since that's something they also can do. And of course, another addition here for the Partisans is they also get grenades. So they are suddenly a lot more potent in several ways. But there you go, Panzer Grenadiers, Ostrom versus a conscript squad. Assault rifles they're firing away. And there we go, conscripts on the run there from the Wehrmacht. And we also got a trench there. Interesting positioning though of the trench there by Luvnest. I'd be curious to know what the logic was behind that one. Also getting a replacement half-track, very interesting. He's actually delaying his tier 2 there a bit. Oh, tier 3 I mean. But interesting, I mean, it's nice to see the half-tracks being utilised. It's just a bit... Oh, cancel it. Getting instead another MD-42. Looks like he lost the previous one. Also Molotov in the trench just in case. Partisans are moving ahead in a larger group. Partisans basically, you know, being what the Soviets had. They had their own partisans. Of course, there also existed different partisans groups. Some working with the Russians, some working against the Russians, and, well, this and that really. It was basically a bit of a mess. One thing to keep in mind about Soviet partisans, they weren't all just, civilians. A lot of them, for example, were Russian troops that were lost during the initial parts of Operation Barbarossa, went into hiding, formed up their own partisan groups, and they were later also actually bolstered by paratroopers from failed paratroop operations of the Soviet kind. So the quality of Soviet partisans could be a bit varied, and again, a lot of them, or a bunch of them, were definitely hardened troops. So, little fun fact there, perhaps not quite to discuss about the Soviet partisans. There you go, Panzer was a bit of trouble. There's 2 full partisan units moving in there with the submachine guns. Pioneers moving up there. Luvnest has lost control of the northern part of the village. Russians are quickly occupying. Not preparing further though. And quick counterattack over to Ostrom. Again, double partisans. 4 and 5 kills here, close to Vetchinji 2. Ostrom there in a bit of trouble. And there we go, counters flanking in. Molotov, and then the partisans run straight into it. Good work there, Sergei. Or Vladislav. Anyways, we've got tag up there from Luvnest. Getting some armor out here would probably be a good choice there before Jove does, though he's finally first gone here for the Sporting Company. Of course, one thing to keep in mind, they do cost less fuel now, so we can theoretically get both one buildings for the Soviets much cheaper. Parts are moving back, grabbing, well, fuel point there, laying down mines as well. Good work, good work. Though he might have wanted to wait until he'd actually rendered the point neutral. There's a chance here that Luvnest actually spots what's going on and deals with it that way, but oh well, the Ostrom did it anyway, so that's kind of a ruined surprise. Contact moving in a larger force, MD-42 holding up there. Troops advancing, troops enforcing, support McCall going up there for Luvnest and Reich. Deutschland. Pentagon does have 9 kills already. Jove so far managed to establish good control of the fuel points, also still no tag up. Support McCall there for Luvnest. And there you go, Partisans out in the open versus. There we go, we got the grenade off. Pentagon is arriving as well. Good hit there, but he might lose the Partisans right there. 2 of the Pentagons then sweep in there from the right. There we go, Veterans you won, and can he make it? Can he make it? No. Quite dead there. Vasili's lucky red cap there turned out to be not really that lucky versus the Wehrmacht's firepower. Oh, finally some take up there from Joe further on. We got the tank of chain command up. Could see some T-70s. S-16 is out. The S-16 manufacturer proved rather than was Joe or Luvnest able to soon call in a Flak Panzer or a Panzer IV. Then again, he could also try to rely here on the partisan tank kind of sort of try and deal with it, though that is also a bit risky in some senses. But it would save him fuel. Partisan again putting a stop there to the Ostrom and the Pioneers of the looks of it. In this case, they might want to sort of leave the trench and its nice comfort and run straight there while the building is burning in the background. You know, is this safe? I don't know really. I don't know really. And going before it's opening up there, 90 position, T-7 on the way. Ostrom on the way there for Luvnest, so both sort of aiming for anti-infantry counters in form of the vehicles. Could perhaps work out a bit there for Jove if he can get up more anti-tank partisans, though again they do cost a bit of manpower. Further fighting up north here, Panzer can do what they can here versus the Russian infantry. Again another use of spy network there for Jove, again quick getting an idea there of where Luvnest is. Bad. Close to 82 already. Gute Arbeit, Leute. Feldwebel Wolf leading his men to victory against the communist scourge. Well, at least so he likes to think. There we go, Partisans flanking in there. Very close to 83 already. Pioneers moving up there, the Flammenwerfer, which have been buffed against units in cover, also got a bit of an overall damage buff. I mean, they don't leave damage over time, but, you know, they handle troops a lot better, in particular troops in cover and, well, in buildings. T-70 opening up there on the advancing Pioneers and Ostrom, and again noting, of course, he's still got no Panzerfaust there. Kind Infantry Company from Luvnest. Contact holding up there, no Maxims, no mortars, no field guns here for Jove. Also right here, he could actually pop out some Partisans right behind the MD-42 and give it quite the headache. Instead we've got another anti-tank squad here already prepared for Jove. Might see the Ostrom there getting wound up with the T-70 if Jove pursues, but he does not. It looks like the flak panzer has been cancelled. It's a Panzer IV. We also got Ostomy occupying the building behind the MD4, ensuring no Partisans can arrive through it. That's definitely one way of doing it. Field guns might still be necessary for Jove soon enough, and there you go, Panzer IV arrives, and of course he will know this thanks to radio intercepts. So in that sense, Jove won't be completely unprepared. Probably also again hurt that he also got the end of the supply core, because in that sense, radio intercept pretty much tells you what your opponent is doing. There you go, S-March around the cut-off point, will work, and before sitting up here, lost from there, and there you go, Panzer IV strikes ahead. Anti-tank Partisans are nowhere near to be helped. Instead, he's actually using the support here, the T7, in case it gets hard counted. Not bad, but there you go, Panzer IV. Can the anti-tank Partisans get it? Can they? There you go, shot fired, misses. Panzer Pioneers moving to screen it up, then ensure that these anti-tank Partisans won't have an easy time there dealing with the Panzer IV. The also got anti-tank Partisans ensuring if the Panzer IV tries to flank about there, it's going to get a bit of a nasty surprise. And there we go. Fails to penetrate though. Got hit in the building though. Collapses a nice chunk of the front there. Oh dear, those parts need to get out of there before the Panzer IV causes the entire thing to collapse. Finally, he's been dealt with by the T70. Anti-tank parts are still around here too with the Panzer IV. Trench might want to be abandoned here soon enough. So fighting here, folks in the centre, though there's still options here on the right and left flanks there for Jove or Luvnest. Got the trench. Nothing further here though from Luvnest at the moment. No additional patch. Oh, he's getting a mortar there. Then the mortar though, recently nerfed, has less of a rate of fire there. Doesn't shoot quite as fast. Panzer going to do this there. The Vet 22, 15 kills to their name. Being with the contrast there, the building has seen better days. They're going to tank part going in, but still, let's remember that building's about to collapse. Bit of damage to the Panzer IV. Nothing further here though. He's basically still relying on the parts and tank hunters for the time being there. One thing also to consider for Joe might be some fuel caches to supply further fuel. He has gone for the infantry company, at least maybe surprised now. Joe here with a quick Panzerfaust. But at this point in the game, I think he should allow himself to get it. Probably also for the mortar, but still, you know, Panzerfaust never hurts. Panzerfaust never hurts. There we go, the Partisans getting veteran 3 there. Also, as the Ostrom, they're a bit worried. And getting in the building and themselves veteran 3, they should be a bit safe there. Just a bit. You could also try and pop a Molotov against the Ostrom. Stick goes to the grenade, and there we go, Panzer IV flanking in, forcing the Partisans away there. Forcing them to run quite heavily. Pioneers, Panzer Grenadiers moving ahead, constantly moving from all sides, plus a larger anti-tank team there. Quick pull away to the Panzer was simply too much of an effective screen. Oh, grenade, they're right in the path. 17 kills, almost 50. There they go, force away, there you go. 2 Panzer connect with the Panzer IV. Down to 1/3 of its health, perhaps less. Needs to fall back here, needs to fall back. There we go, one anti-tank team forced away, but still, there's a chance. Oh, he's occupied the building with the Ostrom, ensuring they can't get it. Good work there. Luvnest should just take it as a far safer path. They're back to the base and get repaired. Meanwhile, T7 can do damage here, though it has taken a bit of damage. Engine again, still getting some kills in. 12 there. Self-repairs, good work. And getting a field gun here, realising you can't just keep relying on the anti-tank Partisans fully there. At least not like this. Still, they're doing alright, and of course, as they gain veterans, they do also become better. Panzer IV moving here, T70, they're in trouble, need to fall back. But still, Luvnest here, rather risking. I mean, Panzer IV is very low and healthy, but he's still sitting in there. In theory, I mean, he could have popped up some anti-tank parts and then, you know, popped a rocket into its side, maybe an anti-tank grenade, leaving the Panzer IV in a very dire state there. But looking at the game currently, I mean, we're seeing Jove here sort of lost some of the map. Now, he had sort of initially sort of good opening movements, but he didn't really solidify the map control he actually had there versus Luvnest, and that allowed Luvnest to easily counterattack and push him back out of the village. I mean, there were no mines from the parts again, that's one thing they can do. No real defences, no real use of support from Company, no maxims, no mortars, nothing you could have, you know, forced Luvnest to slow down his attacks just a bit and, you know, make things a bit more difficult for him. So Luvnest here always striking back using Panzer Grenadiers, Panzers, Pioneers with Flammenwerfers, and so on. Luvnest being on the offensive again, and also right now he's got the arm advantage there with the Panzer IV versus the T-70. I mean, there's still, you know, anti-tank partisans there to deal with, plus the field guns. I mean, it's not, you know, that overwhelming, but, you know, there's definitely some problems there for Joe. I mean, for Joe, one thing to consider is now going for Nation 6, you know, bombarding away at the Panzer IV with that would certainly help. It has decent rate of fire, decent penetration, versus the Panzer IV, in fact, is pretty good. Another option would be to try and take up, maybe go for some T-34-76s, and then following up with maybe an H-35. I mean, those are options, but I definitely think he needs to be more aggressive on the flanks, try and use the parts a bit more aggressively there, and otherwise, you know, try and, well, hunt down the Panzer IV, knock it out, and otherwise, you know, have the T-70s just bleed out the infantry. If you do that, there might be pretty good chances. He's currently just basically relying on the Panzer IV, on the Ostrom there for anti-tank. I mean, he's getting a Pack 40, but, you know, that's still going to be a bit delayed there. So those are some thoughts there for Joe, but otherwise, fuel caches would also be a good idea. But I still think, you know, anti-tank mines there from his Partisans. I mean, the more you can do so to bleed out to Luvnest TSC attacks, the better. For Luvnest, the situation is looking pretty decent now. I mean, he's sort of had a bit of rough start there, but he's managed to quickly turn things around. Main good uses Ostrom, good using the buildings. They're definitely doing a lot of damage there to Jove. The Panzer gun is also bringing out to be a good investment. The Panzer IV, he needs to be a bit more careful. I mean, one mistake there, and that Panzer IV is going to be, you know, well, a blazing ball of fire, which I imagine Luvnest isn't really interested in. One additional thought he's considering for him is maybe a fuel cache, but getting otherwise up more armor, another Panzer IV, Ostwind, or maybe some Stugs. I mean, the options are all there for him, basically. It's just sort of a matter of what Luvnest sort of really wants to focus on. Otherwise, additional Panzer grenadiers, considering all the infantry Jove have, would, I think, also be a good choice. Would also cost less fuel. And I suppose in theory he could also try and take up, maybe go for a Panzerwerfer, then an improved one, and just, you know, hammer away at Jove's infantry. I mean, the options are there, but at the moment, the challenge is really on Jove's shoulders. He needs to be aggressive, he needs to try and flank up out, he needs to sort of try and be less of a sledgehammer, more of a series of swift blows, you know, trying to deal with some more units again, force Luvnest to spread out, because the problem is at the moment he's basically allowing Luvnest to sort of focus all of his firepower and defences in the centre, which also allows him to concentrate, and that rather also allows him more easily deal with Jove's attacks. So he needs to sort of force Luvnest to react to him and force him to spread out, you know, having to defend more territory. If he can do that, I think Jove will have a much better chance of actually dealing with Luvnest. But let's return to the fight here and see what happens. I mean, in a sense, that's also what the Partisans are all about, you know, forcing your opponent to have to react to a lot of sudden threats appearing behind you, but Jove isn't quite utilising the doctrine in that way. Sandbags up. Panzer IV moving about. T-70 moving out. And T-70 striking forwards. For the motherland! Oh, connection here with the Panzer IV. Led to 2 though, but don't think they get up. They got the field gun there, self-repairs up. Panzer IV missed. T-70 survived that. But there you go, the field gun saves the day here for Joe. At the same time, large engagement of the Ostrom are continuing being quite the nuisance to Joe's forces there, holding up in cover and in buildings. It makes it difficult here for Joe to make any easy progress. And again, that's what I mean, you just try and play around it. I mean, in part that was also the Soviet plan of attack, you know. They wouldn't just, you know, try and always attack with the German strongest. They'd try and attack when they were the weakest, then work around it. They also avoided a lot of, you know, Hitler's Festungs that way, you know. They just, you know, block them off, then move the main force round it. There we go, some better action on the left flank. They're grabbing away territory, much better, taking away the victory points. Molotovs here will be good, and there we go. Straight against the Panzer Grenadiers, very close to victory there. If Joe can get them there, that would be really good for him. Still making good progress there on the sides. Panzer IV receiving vital repairs. Grenadienwerfer firing in support here of the Wehrmacht. 8cm Grenadienwerfer, which was actually in the early stages of the war actually designated as a heavy mortar. Very fun fact. Although it wasn't actually the heaviest mortar they had. They actually had a 10.5cm mortar, but that one was designated as a Nebelwerfer. Yeah. Sometimes the Germans were a bit confusing. Therefore they're striking ahead there. Dealing with the T-70, needs to be a bit careful. I mean, a few good hits there, and a tank piping up, field gun moving in. At the same time, might just miss the opportunity with the MD-42. There you go, Panzer IV heavily down. There you go, more anti-tank rockets. Panzer IV almost down, but no, don't move in the T-70, pull it back. Jove, almost threatened defeat. And there you go, Panther almost straight part here, and again he hasn't allowed it to shoot the infantry, so the Panther can bang just to shoot away. I mean, they can't do anything, but yeah, no. It's a bit of a missed opportunity, that's what I'm saying. Then he moves. Oh no, he arcs about there. He doesn't take a safe right line there, and the tank Panther to knock it up. That was not too good there, done by Luvnest. That was a waste of a good Panzerkampfwagen. Now we're seeing Jove on again, gaining good map control as soon as he's unfocused. Then you're just trying to push through the center. He's sort of hitting the flanks, the sides. Again, forcing Luvnest to react or concede a lot of territory, which then opens up the flanks, allowing Luvnest or Jove to sort of strike from here and say here. Again, hitting a bit of the softer bits.
Our opponents are seizing.
But the second Panther 4 there on the way for Luvnest. The man's going off there, killing one partisan who heroically sacrificed himself, or more likely was heroically sacrificed for the Soviet Union. Another head-on assault here with the conscripts though. Molotov.
We have a new Panzer 4.
And Veteran 3, and there you go. Panzer 4 number 2 arrives here for Luvnest. Another dispatch from a nearby Panzer Division. Pioneers here taking losses. There you go, Pentagon is almost reaching. No, they actually pull away here. They're not trying to finish off the conscripts there. In fact, they run out in the open and then pop a grenade there. That seems a bit wasteful, but there we go. Nonetheless, do a decent job there and gain Veteran 3, 21, 22 kills. See something back there. Oh, scheisse. That could have gotten very ugly there for Luvnest and his Panzer Grenadiers. Clearing out the mines there, good work. And the tank parties to be in here, but without anti-infantry parties, it's quite not. In fact, he could actually try and pop up someone here, then sort of hit the MD-42 from the side, also clear out the mortar. I mean, there are options there for Jove, there are options.
Panzer Grenadiers standing by.
Minesweeper's up, and we've got a second Panzer squad here for Luvnest. Even more Panzer Grenadier. Damaging, but there we go, almost got the Ostrom annihilated there with the T-70, 22 kills. Might be pushing his Ostrom a bit too far there, Luvnest. A bit too far. So many angry Russians there. Still gaining back territory. Pioneers also moving up the west flank. Maintaining still a cohesive defense in the centre. It seems like Joe's preparing for another large assault. He's moving out to tank parties from both sides, other partisans as well. They've only had some troops he could say pop out from, a church, get behind. That might have a better chance here. That could actually allow him to maybe rush the MD-42, then opening up for the rest of him to make the assault, but sadly that's not quite the case, and he doesn't have munitions enough right now. They soon will have to sort of try and barrage the MD-42. There you go, Pentagon is leading the counter-attack through the remnants of the northern village, long since shattered. Panzers there taking losses though, Partisans moving up. Panzer 4 moving around. Going for northern munitions. There you go, nice position there. Forcing the Russians to attack there, and the heavy cover is taken from them. T-3476 on there for Joe, though I rather feel like it's, well, quite late. They probably had the map sooner if you had focused a bit more on it, considering all the fuel he's still got left there. There's going to be a bit more tricky here for Joe, I think, to get the most out of his T-34. See with the Luvnest having now better control of the map there, and he can also easily bring out more armor. In fact, he could right now get himself another Panzer IV if he wanted. Or take up and try and aim for a Panther. I mean, really the options there for Luvnest at the moment are rather numerous. Damaged engine there. Good job there with anti-tank Partisans. Another head-on assault there. The Ostrom continue to do pretty good work there in their heavy cover positions. Quick Molotov here.
The enemy is attempting
Pioneers
to
counter-attacking
steal our
themselves.
sector.
11 kills. A vicious counter-attack. There you go, T-70 sneaking in there. Try and get off some quick shots on the MG42. That might just work. He's really been doing a decent job there for Luvnest, sort of controlling the, well, basically this corner of the village, ensuring any head-on assault from Jove. It generally doesn't work out too well. There you go, Pack 40 quick turn about there. T-34 arriving, and there you go, second Panzer at the same time, Panzer moving up to you with the Ostrom.
Enemy is taking our territory.
There you go, cutting them down. Quick mortar off.
Ready for battle.
Almost got the entire storm unit there, wiped out to a man.
Enemy is down.
Second Panzer IV moves up. And mine hit off there. Oh dear, a Tellermine. There was a Tellermine here. Oh no, Jove's armoured flank assault here backfired on him. Thanks to clever mining there by Luvnest. T-34, an absolute burning wreck. We've still got the T-70, but the T-70 taking so much damage, it might not last much longer. Well, he's pushing it. Panzer moving in the front line with the field gun. Panzer going to eventually, they almost wiped up, but they've got 24 killed. There you go, T-70 got put. Panzer goes down to one man, forced to retreat. And field gun cleared out here. Things are getting rough here for Jove, getting rough.
Are seizing a sector.
Victory points are not looking good, troops are not looking good. The two Panzer IVs supporting his infantry forces. It's going to be very difficult for Jove to break through with the losses he's suffering at the moment. He probably should consider an S-35 rather than T-34 so he can have a better chance there versus the Panzer IVs. To be honest, higher range, higher rate of fire, and so on. Those Ostrom have done pretty well. They might actually get some of their medals. The Ostrom actually got they had specific separate medals from the rest of the army. Little fun back there.
The enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
And back into the remake. Well, there's not really much of a cemetery left. There's a single tombstone still left standing. And that's it really. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to tell there was a cemetery here. It might as well have been a park.
Are securing our territory.
Joseph Stalin Memorial Park or something, I don't know. Okay, got Panzer here for the Panzer. He's getting a bit worried about the armour though. It would seem for him to actually upgrade his Panzer. He needs to do something a source of anti-infantry firepower here. But then again, quickly following up here with the bits in 3 Pentagon, and he's might of course to a certain extent explain why also. He's not going to have to worry about anti-infantry fire, but there we go, constantly moving up there. Phantom's moving up, noting by the way they're not quite fully covered there by light cover. Quick Molotov. One squad pushed away, but eventually 3 still remain. And T-3476 bagging in there. Panzers need to retreat, Schnell. Oh, grenade went off there. Actually doing some damage to the T-34. Impressively enough. I'm not entirely how much. Units being wiped out there. We are seeing Luvnest suffering a bit, but overall not quite as much as Jove, whose actions are not looking too good here. And another push. Oh, no, never mind. That's an Ostrom running away there, probably from a lost support weapon. Getting a 3rd Panzer IV here. Luvnest getting increasingly dominant here in the last moments of the fight. Just the victory points also seeing down. There you go. Quick Molotov here, forcing the Ostrom out in the open, and also ensuring they can't remain in the building since it's well on fire. And then the Partisans end up retreating.
Is taking our territory.
Also seems like Jove sort of basically dropped using the Partisans after the first few sort of uses there. I do think, you know, he could have used a bit more, you know, trying to strike the enemy from time to time from other elements, and again sort of try to get behind the MG42 clearing it up, which again would have maybe allowed his head-on assaults from the village to succeed, since he wasn't using a mortar to deploy smoke screens, which might also have made it succeed.
new Panzer IV.
Go 3rd Panzer IV here. That's almost a full Panzer IV, isn't it? Luvnest so far has managed to call in there about 4 Panzer IVs. So full, I think, one was 5 Panzer IVs. Also there. Oh, Telemine there, close to being lit on fire and exploded. But there you go, great for the Panzer IV, wiping out the conscripts. Ostrom there, also having some good chance of getting some hits there in as well. Wiped out. Good lord. Partisans there getting off a hit there versus the Panzer IV. Rocket lands quite nicely. Damaged engine. T-34 and 6 moving in. Panzer IV they're supporting. Really good to knock out that Panzer IV.
We have lost a peg gun.
Got the field gun, almost got the Panzer IV. Can he get it? Can he knock it out? Ah, shot bounce. We've got the other Panzer IV flanking. We've got a Pack 40 moving up. And there you go, damaged engine. Ostrom Panzer fausted it. Looks like the Panzer IV will be able to score a kill there. Will he be getting to moving up? He also got a Pack 4 moving from the other side. And there you go, calling another tank part of the team. Ooh, Panzer Vetchi2 and the T-34. Vetchi2, we got another Panzer IV moving in. Chaotic situation here. Panzer IV knocked out. Not Panzer IV, T-34 knocked out. Oh, well, Panzer IV also knocked out. And then, oh, crushing poor Boris. That rather hurt. They're going to tank parts and Vetchi 3 also have a higher rate of fire. Brings them down to the Panzer IV. Down to half health, in fact less than half health. But the victory points just aren't looking good. Luvnest is establishing dominant control. He's laying down bunkers now as well. Not taking any chances at this point in the game. Not underestimating Jove, who we have seen pulling off some rather impressive comebacks, but at this stage it doesn't really look like it. Got to get caught by the part. Panzer IV, MD42 sitting up there, but here we go. Molotov off. And another anti-tank Partisan team there. Almost got the Panzer IV, almost. Can he get it? Can he knock it out? Can he light it on fire?
Forces are securing our territory.
Got it. That's another Panzer IV there lost to the Partisan tank hunters.
Has been destroyed.
Veteran 3, 17 kills. Those flamethrower pioneers are quite effective.
The enemy can taste defeat. They only have
8 points left though.
attempting to
Bunker
steal
here,
our
but
sector.
up here though. Partisans won't be making much progress there versus stout German field works. And there we go, game over. A loss for Jove, a victory for Luvnest and his Ostrom. Jove's Partisans never quite came that far. And overall, we've sort of looked at doctrinal usage. I mean, they didn't, Jove made the most out of it, but to an extent, he could have made more use of it. I think at certain points, could try being more aggressive with the Partisans at times, getting behind and such. And overall, I think, Joe, if you go Partisan doctrine, you're not looking really to the attack front alone. You want to disrupt, you want to harass, you want to flank about a lot more than you normally do. Problem is, Joe just resorted to the sledgehammer approach, and that's not really where Partisans work very well. Had he flanked more, I think he tried to play around there. I think Joe overall would have worked out much better. Instead, it allowed Luvnest to concentrate his defences in this small area, which meant Luvnest was overall a lot more lethal than was otherwise, necessary in a sense. So in that sense, Joe, I think, really didn't do himself any favours. He could also tech up faster, maybe gone for some more things from the tank-to-tank command, or, going for this one even faster. I mean, there were some options there which I don't really think was happening for Joe. And again, the weighted attack rather cost him a lot, and again, also create a bit of a vicious spiral in that sense. So I think there were some improvements there for Joe. Luvnest overall did well. He reacted well to Joe's play. Good use of half-tracks. Quite nice to see. Panzer IV also handled well, though he, I think, at times took some more risky paths than unnecessary. Panzer Grenadiers were also a good choice. I think the Panzer Grenadiers were, a bit overkill. I think that both, running around solely with assault rifle worked up quite nicely. Otherwise, good use of MD42, Malta, and so on. So well played there by Luvnest. Also that mine here definitely was a nice stroke, which turned out quite well for him. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this match, this first match of the new patch. I hope you learned something. I hope it gives you different matches. If you did, want to subscribe, tell your friends, share it with everyone. If not, send a replay on parts of feedback in the comment section. This is Imperial Link saying cheers, thank you for watching, and see you tomorrow. Bye.